Hi, and thanks for joining us. My name is Kathryn Spetch, and I sit in our global gaming practice here at Odgers Berndtson Executive Search. Welcome to Plugged In, the Odgers Berndtson series, where we hear the insights and opinions of leaders and innovators in the gaming industry. Today, I am absolutely delighted to be joined by ustwo Games CEO María Sayans. Quick intro to Maria, although quite difficult to make it quick given there are many achievements that I could reference. But Maria has been a force of good in the industry for almost 2 decades. She spent 14 years with EA, leading Battlefield's marketing globally, before joining CCP as Chief Customer Officer. As well as being a board member at both Yuki and Star Stable, Maria, as I said, is CEO of the award-winning and hugely innovative ustwo Games. So let's jump straight in. And Maria, what do you think is the biggest challenge facing the industry?
Yeah, I thought about this one, and I had a couple of thoughts, different thoughts, and I was like, oh, which one should we talk about, right? On the one side, there's the thing that keeps me up at night, the thing that I probably dedicate more energy to, which is people, is talent.
Yeah.
The fact that, as a CEO, as somebody running a team, and even as a board member at Yuki, this is one of the things we talk about all the time, is how are we going to keep up with the growth of the industry, bringing in more and more people, but bringing people from more diverse backgrounds and retaining people from more diverse backgrounds. So that's a really, really important topic. But at the same time, I was thinking, really, what I think is holding us back as an industry as well is coming up with ever more innovative products and ever more innovative experiences. And you'd think, well, that's weird because the games industry is super innovative. And but I think that there are things going on right now that are making it more and more likely that people will try to replicate success that already exists. Now, I have to choose one. I'm like, what am I going to talk to Kathryn about? And I was thinking, first of all, let's not talk about people, because as a woman, whenever I'm called to a stage, whenever I'm on a podcast, whenever I'm on, doing a presentation, people always ask you to talk about culture. They ask you to talk about people. They ask you to talk about the soft topics. So I'm really leaning towards talking about the product innovation and experience innovation. But I don't know. What do you think?
Okay, it's a really interesting point, Maria. And yeah, I mean, you are right. Unfortunately, you see the kind of women panels about progressing through the industry, and it is always women talking about it, which is great. But equally, you don't see an awful lot of kind of men who are allies within the space, within either event rooms when we're hosting kind of events for female leaders, or the kind of podcasts or videos, and they're out there. But I think for some reason we kind of perpetuate the fact that women need to talk about women in leadership when it needs to become broader. So yeah, absolutely. Let's go with the second topic, because it's a fascinating one, and also I think it leads us on probably quite nicely to my second question, but we'll leave that for now. So yeah, over to you.
Yeah, so I think when it comes to the challenges with innovation, I've been in the industry for over 20 years. And I remember when I first came into the industry, I was at an event hanging out with some journalists and feeling like somebody who was still fresh to the industry, a bit of an outsider, a bit of someone still kind of looking from the outside in. And this journalist casually asked me, so what do you think is the future of the industry? What do you think is coming down the pipeline? And this is 20 years ago, and I said something like, I think in the future we're going to be playing games that are about things that we don't think are games today. And I think I look back on that, and like I was thinking at what did I mean at that point? I thought there'll be games about poetry, there'll be games about cooking, there'll be games about coming up with the names of things. And, in a way, the industry has met that and more than that. The amount of innovation that we've had in experiences, not just technology, but experiences that we've had in the last 20 years is mind-boggling. And I think it still continues. But I worry about our ability to maintain that. And the reason I worry about our ability to maintain that is that so much of how the industry is stacked up in terms of how competition is structured, how the economics of games are structured, really favors being conservative and not taking risks. It is so difficult to get your name noticed. Making games is increasingly expensive. Even games like the ones that we make are so much more expensive today than they were, 7 years ago when Monument Valley 1 first came out. And so let alone the really big AAA games. So incredibly expensive and increasingly expensive to make games, really difficult to get your game noticed, because discoverability on the platforms is a real challenge. And then the economics of making and distributing games and marketing games just favor games as a service. And so games as a service has become like the dominant mechanism. So anything that you make has to be maintained for years and has to be something that can retain players for years, which means that, again, you've got to really think hard about, am I going to make something that is really, really successful? So all of that stacks up to people looking at what games do they make next, and only want to take bets that are relatively safe. And you look at everything that was announced at Summer Game Fest, a couple of weeks ago, or last week, and a lot of the AAA stuff, it just looks the same. And we used to have these moments, with the new consoles that would just really transform what you could play. And in a way, that doesn't happen as much anymore. So at the same time, you've got this whole indie scene that's coming up with just amazingly innovative games, but we have to continue to make it possible for those risks to be taken, not just in the indie space, but at the AA and AAA space. And I think it's important, not just because we are creators and we want to innovate, but also because our audience is changing, and we cannot continue to make the games that have been successful for the last 20 years. The audience has become much more diverse. Now more than 50% of players are women, and our audience keeps getting more diverse also in terms of age. The kind of experiences that our players are looking for is changing. And we cannot just keep making the same science fiction shooters. So I think that we really need to look at how the economics of the industry, both in terms of production and distribution and discoverability, are set up so that we allow for more innovative products and experiences that haven't been seen before to reach a new audience. And so audiences want to sample and want to try out new kinds of games.
And I mean, that leads us really nicely onto my second question, but just to go back to a couple of the points that you made, when you're talking about the fact that it's, the AAA world, AA world that tends to be kind of replicating what's been done before, but actually they've got a part to play in kind of creating these more innovative games. What do you think the path looks like for them to be able to do that? Is it kind of incubator sort of programs within their businesses? Because you can't see some of those large titles going away or massively changing in a short space of time.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think a really good example there is what EA has done with Hazelight, and with which made It Takes Two, and what was the previous one, A Way Out. Yeah. So those are very innovative experiences that came from a new studio in Stockholm, and so those, and I would say that that's more like an incubator model. Yes. Where EA, under the Originals sort of umbrella, is supporting smaller studios doing things that are a little bit more different. I think that's one way, and I think another way is for the big companies to support smaller companies. And I think you see that, for example, with the in the mobile space as some of the investments and support that are being given to some of the smaller companies that are pursuing games in new audience spaces, for example, like Trail Mix. So that's another model. So it's not so much incubation, but more like excubation. I don't know what to call that, but like supporting general, through investment. And I think then just trying out kind of different business models, making sure that not everything has to be an IP that that is going to transform itself into a game as a service model. So it's not so much about things that are already out there going away, but it's about allowing more things to come into that path that maybe have sort of a different route.